Hi, Don Planter here again, and I just wanted to give you a short comment on transaction fees, which are a hot item. And the basic issue is that the transaction fees are so high that smaller transactions are becoming prohibitive, which then basically leaves Bitcoin in more of an asset category where if you're moving very large positions, then the transaction fees are not as important. Like for instance, if it's an asset and you're talking about a work of art worth $500,000 and you put it up for auction and the auction house charges 25% to manage the transaction, then you're okay with that. So transaction fees at increasing levels make sense if Bitcoin in the end turns out to be an asset type of a product. And high transaction fees then begin to prohibit it from becoming a transaction-based sort of surrogate to a currency medium. But I simply don't think that that's going to happen because I get a sense that the miners are going through a period of greed and the uh, the issues of very high costs in terms of energy and the production and the mining costs, I believe are overrated, and I believe that we are in the Bitcoin world getting basically gouged, no different than by what the banks are doing. So effectively, I think the miners are behaving like utility companies with a free-for-all, complaining about extremely high costs and justifying their ability to make enormous profits by uh, mining and processing the transactions. So I do believe that we're going to see a fight for survival and a race to the bottom in terms of the mining fees, which simply means for us that profits will be normalized, and over time the miners will either have to give up their mining business and walk away from huge investments, or accept normal profits to produce much higher volumes of transactions at a lower cost. So I'm not exactly convinced that the mining costs are quite that high. And another thing that sort of points in that direction is the enormous amount of infighting among the miners and the blockchain community within the Bitcoin world itself. There would not be so much infighting if there was not actually so much at stake. So I would say sit tight, because I believe we are going to see a drop in the transaction fees, particularly if we're moving back towards a peer-to-peer transaction system, if that's how Bitcoin is going to emerge.